Hey guys, Dan here.
And Frank, Godzilla Island.
And we are the Mazer Squad, episode 23. It's our Godzilla Minus One episode. But
big episode.
Big episode. But before we get into that, we have some big news. We have a new Kaiju convention announced. We have a Godzilla Minus One semi-related project. A new Godzilla book, yes, another one announced.
Yep, they just keep dropping.
Godzilla showing up on Disney Plus, and a possible new Kong show yet again. But before we get into that, let's talk about the big story. Obviously, you see the backdrop. We have Godzilla Kong, New Empire. That trailer dropped, and I'm hyped. I know there's a lot of hate going out there about this trailer, but I am super hyped.
You know, before the trailer even dropped, people, after coming out of Minus One on Wednesday, even before Minus One on Wednesday, just once Minus One even dropped, people were like, oh, they were already like bad-mouthing it, and they haven't even seen the trailer yet. But,
I mean, there's so much already known.
There was. This whole movie's practically leaked online already. The plot's been all over the web for months, weeks. It's just gonna be a crazy movie, and everyone that came, we both saw Minus One, absolutely epic. We're gonna get to that later, but this is completely like insane, even to say, oh, how can you give us something like this after giving us Minus One? It's like apples to oranges. You gotta understand. The MonsterVerse movies are they're here to be the 70s, 60s crazy sci-fi movies, basically. You could call it you could call it the Fast and Furious of Godzilla movies. I
saw that going around a lot.
That's what it's gonna be, and it's gonna be fun though. I mean, part of what I've been saying is, years ago when we grew up, we wanted movies like this.
Yes.
Your younger self would want to see this movie.
Definitely.
There's no way that if you were a kid, young teenager, that you would go into this movie and be like, oh, look at this. What is this?
Yeah, no, definitely.
You'd be super hyped and going nuts for it. And just have fun with it. You just got to know that I don't think we're going to get something too crazy serious. Although I have been watching Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. I'm a little behind. I'm behind one episode, but I gotta say, it's fairly serious. Honestly, the human story in that, to me, is pretty damn good. It's following John Goodman's character from Skull Island, and it's basically following his grandchildren, and it's unraveling all the conspiracies of Monarch. You see a little Godzilla backstory, the whole Bikini Atoll thing throw down. But I mean, if you want to say that, you could call that pretty serious MonsterVerse.
Yeah.
But after Godzilla vs. Kong and the way the trailer here looks, I think we're going for fun movies here with the MonsterVerse.
Oh, yeah, no, this is a complete blockbuster. I know probably the most controversial... Well, there's like 3 controversial things about the trailer. The number one thing, though, is this running scene that I put up.
Yes. Godzilla runs.
Godzilla runs.
He ran a million times in the Showa era.
He does it in the Showa era. He does a drop kick from like 400 feet away. He flies.
Right, the Megalon poster right there behind you.
Yeah, like... He does ridiculous things in the show, and I know those are things that people don't like. Like, he does the dancing at one part. Like, Godzilla can be fun.
Yes.
And, like, okay, he kind of also ran in Godzilla vs. Kong, but it was more like a crawling, lizard-like run. It wasn't, like, on a bipedal thing, but...
Yeah.
I think that the reason that they're doing this is because the other villain that they haven't shown in the trailers yet...
Yeah.
I don't want. If it's not shown in the trailer, I don't want to talk about it too much.
No, yeah, I agree.
Because I don't want to spoil the whole movie for the few people who don't know.
Yes, I mean.
And then I saw the other people there like trashing the new Godzilla design, the Godzilla Evolved design.
It's too thin.
It's like he's too thin, too lizard-like. The pink. What's with the pink? And I'm like, because we've gotten 4 movies of him being blue. That's why. Because every single toy from the first generation to the last one looks almost the exact same.
Toys, yeah. I mean, Godzilla 2000 GxK, that was the last Godzilla movie we covered.
Yeah.
His spines were purple.
Yeah.
What's the big deal?
Yeah, and I think that the pink or purple atomic breath, because that's what it's going to be, is going to look awesome. It's the same reason why Kong has an Infinity Gauntlet on his hand. Okay,
so it looks like he's got like these blue bulbous things, and then they show that desert scene, you see the blue glow. So I'm assuming it might be like some sort of like means of transporting through Hollow Earth or something like that.
So I had two theories.
Godzilla charged.
So, yeah, two theories. One, it's like an enhanced version of his axe. And then secondly, he's probably going to have a previous confrontation with the Scar King. Maybe that's like a cast.
Yeah, maybe it's like almost like a brace.
Yeah, like maybe Scar King breaks his arm or something in the first encounter.
Because you see in this running scene, he does not have the axe anymore. And when he first encounters the baby gorilla, that he's got the axe in his hand. So,
yeah,
who knows? Maybe he loses that axe in a fight, and this becomes his new weapon. Or they pull shards of the spine from the axe to make this thing. Who knows what it is? And the whole thing with the baby gorilla is pretty crazy too. I mean, and we see there's tons of other Kongs or large primates down there.
Yeah, so it's definitely something I'm excited for. I'm just excited to go see the movie. It's going to be a good time. I don't care.
Yeah, I think it's going to be crazy awesome.
I don't care if the director's been talking about it, and he's like, I think there's like 5 or I think he's saying like 3 to 5 scenes where it's just 8 minutes of just monsters fighting.
Yeah.
Like just them just doing their own thing. Yeah. And I know people are worried about like, oh, well, it's just going to be stupid monster fights and all that stuff. It's like, okay, well, you can tell stories through body language. You don't need people talking and explaining what's happening.
Exactly.
Like it's one of like the things of like storytelling is show don't tell. Like you don't have to have a human character be like, oh, Kong adopted that baby gorilla. Oh, I guess he's King Kong now. Yeah. Like you don't need that in the movie. You can just inference that. I'm sure we're gonna get a King Kong line once they beat Scar King. Like
true. Yeah. And maybe he'll be ruling all the other apes. I don't know.
I'm just guessing where it's going. I don't know. I've stayed away from leaks.
People are like, oh, is this going to be like the Young Avengers? They're like, oh, maybe that scene where the baby Kong's on the mountain, maybe there's really going to be a baby Godzilla next to him too, and they're going to take over like the Young Avengers, and the dads are going to retire.
There's going to be a Manila.
Then I heard another theory that with the running scene that it looks like, oh, maybe they're leading other kaiju out behind them or something like that.
That would be cool. I mean, we know that other franchises, mainly Marvel, will show a trailer, but they'll cut out other characters in shots just so they don't show you everything. That's definitely a possibility.
No, I absolutely think it is. I mean, the Scar King looks really cool. He's got this snake bandolier thing on him. From what I understand, it's a weapon actually. One of the discussions in the trailer is you see a thing where it looks like it spikes into the ground, and I don't know if it's drilling people. Like, is this another kaiju that has like drill arms? I don't know if it's part of the Scar King's weapon that he has on him. I don't know if it extends into like a spear almost when it's off of him and he can just twirl it or something like that. I feel like it's part of his weapon. I don't think it's another kaiju.
Yeah.
You never know though.
Yeah, you never know. I think that there will be other like tertiary kaiju in this, just because they're doing the Monarch show. So you might get like, you might see a Muto, you might see a Behemoth, like you might see some of the stuff from Monarch, but they're not going to play a huge role.
Yeah.
And then one thing I saw one person note was that beach shot with the Scar King.
Yes.
That the ocean was frozen.
Oh, well, that's because of something.
Yes.
I can't tell. We won't throw spoilers.
But I was just like, ooh. I was like, I didn't even notice that on my. I watched the trailer like 4 or 5 times. Yeah. And I hadn't even noticed it until somebody like actually pointed it out to me.
Yeah, it looks like an absolutely fun movie. I hope the haters come around. You're gonna watch it anyway if
Yeah,
you're one
they're
of
gonna
us
watch
fans
it
out there.
anyway. People are
Like,
gonna
you're
watch
gonna
it to
watch
hate
it
it.
anyway to complain. And to that, I just say have fun.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean, yeah, I know. We have a minus one that shows Godzilla doesn't have to be fun.
yeah,
It's super serious, complete polar opposite of this movie. But you know what? What's wrong with having a fun movie? That's what the Meg was.
yeah,
That's what a lot of things are.
yeah. I'm excited for it. Um, I guess the next thing we're gonna cover would be we got a convention coming up June 1st. So mark your calendars. We have Kaiju Brooklyn 2.
Yes, unfortunately we missed the first one, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. Convention is being promoted and run by John Bellotti Jr., who's you may know as Robo 7. He's got great art. He's got art right there behind Dan. I don't have one on now. I've had him on the last couple of shows. His Ultraman shirts. He's the only officially licensed artist in the United States by Subaraya to make those shirts. They're awesome shirts. We'll link them down below. I've brought them up before. Awesome shirt. I wore one recently this past weekend to a convention by us, and I can't tell you how many vendors brought up how awesome that shirt was. Everyone loved my Ultraman shirt. I had the Holy Mountain one with the red background instead with the Ultraman. Really cool shirts, really awesome art. And I heard a lot of other people in the community here, other shows, other artists, and everything have been talking about Kaiju Broken and saying that they want to do that show if All Monsters Attack isn't happening next year. It seems to be the early word is it might not be happening next year, but it's still going to happen eventually. One of the vendors we were talking to says he knew the guy that books for that show, and he said that he believes we may even get an East Coast one here sometime in 2025. But he said hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kaiju Brooklyn, like I said, it did really well. A lot of people were talking about it. All buzz. All the pictures. I was like, oh, I wish I could have been there. But this one, I'm absolutely hard save the date. I've already told the wife, I'm like, I need June 1st. I'm like,
yeah.
We've been looking at vacations, and she's like, all right. She's like, this one we'll leave the day after if we have to. I'm like, yeah. That's
yeah.
I'm not missing it.
So the first one, they did they got the permit. I guess because he got the hookup through Subaraya. I got the permission to do a screening of Shin Ultraman.
Yeah.
This one, it looks like he's looking into doing another post screening, but they haven't announced anything yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited, and yeah, can't wait to go to just finally have a kaiju convention here in New York.
Yeah, I've been thirsting for this, and that's one of the things that they said about all the guests that went there. Like you could tell they were hungry for a kaiju themed convention, and I've been starving for one here, and I'm extremely excited to be able to go.
Yeah, because I was pretty amazed. I'm going to be putting out a WinterCon video just about all the vendors that we saw, but we had a good amount of kaiju people, tokusatsu people there. I was very surprised.
Yeah, we went in very low expectations on winter, but yeah, it was great. That was a fun one this past weekend.
Yeah, but I guess we're gonna move on to that semi Godzilla Minus One related project. And that is Ninja vs. Shark. I'm gonna let you take this one away.
Yeah. Well, it's not semi-related. It's not really related at all. It's just the director Koichi has the same name as our main character from Minus One. That's the only. Yeah, it's not the same guy.
I misunderstood. When you said that, I was like, oh, I was like the main character. His name's
Koichi Sakamoto. He's the director from Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Ultraman. He's done all the Toku shows that you've seen. And he's got this new movie out, Ninja vs. Shark. Just dropped today. I pre-ordered my copy earlier before the show, and it says it's going to be here December 11th. They're already shipping it from Media Blasters. We'll link that up down below. It comes with a really nice slipcase cover. It sounds like a crazy fun movie. He's he's directed a lot of stunts for Ultraman. Like I said, Ultraman, Kamen Rider, Power Rangers. He's done stunts. He's doing a show near us next weekend, and we can't make it, unfortunately. Anime New Jersey, which looks like a great show. This is the first year they're doing it. I'm hoping maybe next year we'll be able to make that one if they do it again. But yeah, Ninja vs. Shark. I don't know if you could necessarily call it Toku themed, but I think it's definitely in the realm of what all our fans here like to watch.
Yeah.
So we'll probably end up covering that one for sure. And yeah, Ninja vs. Shark being distributed by Mini Blasters, Koichi Sakamoto.
Yeah.
Not Koichi from Godzilla Minus One.
Man, I completely misheard that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, like that's pretty awesome. But yeah, gonna pre-ordering that. Also, as far as pre-ordering, we had a short release today. This is being filmed on December 7th. Vile 21 is a super budget shot on VHS tape kaiju tokusatsu / like super budget horror movie that's being released on Vinegar Syndrome on Blu-ray. So if you guys want to check it out, check it out. I definitely don't think it's for everybody, but I'm gonna give it a shot, see what it is. But yeah, on to our yet again another Godzilla book. I feel like we're gonna have like one book published a month for this series.
Yeah, well, practically at this point, between comics, books.
Oh yeah, if you do comic books, it's like almost like weekly.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, comic books are almost practically weekly for this, with the Justice League thing going on. But yeah, once again, I was up at night just browsing sites, seeing if anything new popped up, and then it was Target actually listed it first. The What is the Story of Godzilla by Sheila Keenan and Who HQ. Who HQ apparently is a subgroup in Penguin Random House, and they have this whole massive series of books. It's called Who Was, Who It, Where Is, What Is the Story of, and Who HQ Now. These different series. They even made a Netflix series apparently about the Who Was back in 2017 based off this series. And they're basically, all the covers are these
almost like caricature.
Yes, that's what they're actually based off. They're based off the New York Times caricatures covers back in the day. So basically, they have one for Wonder Woman, Scooby-Doo. They did Babe Ruth, tons of athletes.
I think I've seen one for Einstein.
Things. Apparently, they release about 24 a year. They do 2 a month, and this is they've done over 250 of these books. They're like 80-page books, usually around like 10, 12 chapters. So this one's basically going to give like the history of Godzilla through film and everything. They mentioned Terror of Mechagodzilla. So you're going to hear about all his movies. It's not actually just about like the character's origin. It's just about like the history almost of Godzilla in the film. But it's aimed at like a young adult audience. It's clear like it's an 80-page chapter book, 10 chapters. 12 chapters. And they say there's like over 80 illustrations throughout these books typically. So each page has like some sort of picture on it. It's probably going to be a cool book to flip through. It's going to be, if I had to assume, like it's going to be a little small, like kids flip book. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be a pretty cool release about the history of Godzilla. I mean, we've gotten a bunch, but this one's for the kids. Keep drawing them in. I know you got Godzilla Kong New Empire. Now you got this. We have 2 children's books. There's one coming out this month. By the time it's coming out the 20th, I think. The Love from Godzilla. We have a little clip on that one. Love from Godzilla, and then Brave Like Godzilla, which I believe comes out the month before this one. I think this is June, and Brave Like Godzilla's May. And then we also have the graphic novel coming out. We have a lot going on.
And the Godzilla Kong New Empire novelization.
Yes, I'm going to try to pick that up. One of the things I wanted to mention earlier, I kind of really hope we get the novelization for Minus One here. Yeah. I mean, I believe there is one in Japan.
Oh, there is.
But I really hope we get a translation here. I mean, it's killing it in the theaters, so we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see on that.
I think we'll see what happens. And just the final little bit of news. it looks like Disney and Hulu are merging, and that means that Godzilla 2000 and Godzilla Final Wars are on Disney Plus right now.
Yeah, but you know what's weird is it's actually only on Disney Plus. It isn't on Hulu. I thought because of the merge thing that's why it was on there. But I was looking on my phone at the Hulu app and the Disney app, and it's not on Hulu. But right here on Disney Plus, we have Final Wars and 2000, which I thought is pretty crazy. Godzilla made it to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we mentioned it. It was brought up back in 22. It's been more than it's been almost a year.
Oh yeah.
The Kong show that they were supposed to be doing, the Kong origin show, but you know, we just went through the writers' strike this year, the actors' strike, so I'm sure production slowed down on it. But since we're on the topic of Disney Plus, where is this Kong show? It's going to be done under the James Wan Atomic Monster production company. There hasn't been much news on it, so definitely want to start poking out there. I feel like with all this going on, that with the MonsterVerse, we have Monarch, we have Godzilla Kong New Empire, I feel like that there should be they want to jump on the hype train right now, and they should be throwing that out there, giving us a little announcement of the status on the production of this project.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe we might hear something at like a Disney convention or possibly an investor meeting.
Yeah.
About it, which would happen towards the end of this month, I guess, because it would be the end of the fourth quarter.
True, yeah.
So possibly hearing something early next year about this.
Yeah. I'm really hoping this isn't like one of those things that falls victim to the strike and the studios are like, oh, this is what we're going to make an example of now.
Maybe, but I just feel like
last time around when this happened, like, I mean, look at shows like Heroes, they really got hit hard. The studios were not nice to these, but so far it sounds like it's been pretty civil since everything has ended, but still in the really early stages of that.
Yeah. You know, the only thing is that, you know, I guess it could always depend on how good Godzilla Kong does. Like, maybe they're just like, hey, if this movie does good, well, you can announce our own good King Kong show.
Yeah, we'll make sure we'll say, hey, we're still working on this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, James Wan, I've said before, I know it's his production company, he's not directing it, but he's definitely somebody that would make a great kaiju movie. He's somebody that I would love to see direct a kaiju film.
Yeah. And maybe we'll get a series or something.
Yeah.
But I guess we're going to transition over to our comic book review, and that is going to be of Snarlagon.
Yeah, by Andrew MacLean. A really fun graphic novella. Andrew is the writer for the currently running Godzilla War for Humanity IDW comic book series. Jake Smith does the art on that one. This one, Andrew did everything. This is all Andrew's art, all Andrew's writing. What'd you think of it? I thought it was a really fun little book.
I thought it was
the classics.
You know, I thought it was a cool little.
It had some fun camp moments.
Oh yeah, a lot of camp, a lot of fun. I thought that the art style was very not exactly the same, but also it was very similar to War of Humanity.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah,
that like exaggerated features and.
Yes, I really enjoyed it. It's when I first saw it announced, I was like, oh, I got to get on this right away. And it's if you see behind here, it's not like it's a graphic novella, so it's not really a comic book.
Yeah.
It's pretty big. I did a little brief unboxing video on this thing, but it's like a magazine almost, the size and format of it.
Yeah, and I liked that, you know, while it is a monochrome comic, it's not black and white, and the dithering that they do for it.
Yes.
I feel like it's really well done. Like, you definitely get the shade and stuff, and it takes place at night, so we don't have to worry about like daytime scenes.
Yeah.
I think definitely worth a read for everybody. But basically, like, Like it starts off like, like your typical, like you'd see this all the time in the 90s, like in the movies where it was kind of like, oh, we drove up to like the top of like some hill overseeing the
California,
town. Yeah, California. You've seen this a million times.
Like
the biggest
your
trope.
typical 60s romance scene, first date. And we have our characters Franklin and Mariah here on their first date, overlooking the city, looking at the stars, stargazing. I guess pointing out constellations. And Mariah's little brother, apparently, Joshy, snuck in the car with them on this first date. And it's like, you guys stink at pointing out constellations. It's like... and they're like, what are you doing here? and he's dressed in this Captain Astromo costume, and it's like this crazy sci-fi space superhero costume.
Yeah, it's like something you'd see like from the 50s or 60s, like, oh, this is like what Martians would look like or something.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of the aliens from Terror of Mechagodzilla with the helmet and the things coming out.
Yeah, it's
and it's like, how did you miss this kid in the back seat wearing this?
Yeah, and then there's like a meteorite, and this dude whips out like a ray gun, like a real ray gun.
The kid, and he's like, I'm gonna shoot it down with my ray gun. And it's like a toy ray gun, but apparently he shot it down with his ray gun though.
Yeah, but that's what I was confused about, because like Franklin's dad was like, "Oh, we need Joshy for his like."
Yeah, that whole scene. So yeah, basically, they're like, "Oh, let's go," and they start driving, and then these other kaiju that they've encountered before, called Angramites, are like these bugs, crab type things, start coming out of the ocean, and there's just like a parade of them crossing the road. And Franklin's father is apparently like a general. And he's like, let's go see my dad. Or did they go to Mariah's?
They went to Mariah's uncle's.
Yeah, Mariah's uncle. He was a scientist. So they go to his lab, and they're like, oh, the Angramites are heading towards the city. And a meteor fell from the sky. And then Josh is like, no, I shot it down with my ray gun. And then that's when Franklin's dad shows up, who's like a general. And he's like, you shot it down with your ray gun? He's like, we're going to need this on our weapons.
Yeah. And then, they're like, oh, it wasn't a meteorite. It was the protector. It was Snarlagon, the protector of humanity, who lives on the dark side of the moon.
And it's like almost like a Gamera-esque thing, I feel
very,
like.
Very,
Yes. Yeah. The Snarlagon's design's pretty awesome. It's like turtle-ish, Gamera-ish. Not really. Like, it's
slightly Gorgo.
It's like Gorgo mashed with Gamera, I guess.
Yeah, it's got like armor plating and all this cool stuff.
Yeah, these are the Angramites. Really cool. They're almost like sea louse. Almost like at the beginning of, well, not quite the same, of Godzilla Returns, but, sort of same inspiration. Yeah. Also on the back cover here. And this is available on their Laser Wolf website too, so I would definitely recommend picking this up. We'll link that up down below. But yeah, so Joshy's dad, Franklin's dad, is like, all right, let's get to action. And they're like, all right, Joshy, you're gonna come with us. You're gonna go on the front lines. And like everyone starts laughing about it because he's in his Captain Astro suit. And then we see, sure enough, later on in the comic, Joshy is really there on the front lines riding on a tank. And like Mariah's uncle, the scientist, has this lab assistant that's with him for some reason. And she's like, I thought they were joking. Why is this happening to me? Like, it's just like a terrible situation. They just sent a child and a lab assistant with the army to confront these kaiju, and it doesn't work out. And I'm like, what general in his right mind would send a child to the front lines? But it happened, and it was funny. I mean, this comic book is really fun and just.
Yeah, no, it's pretty off the walls. Like they just did like whatever they wanted.
Yeah, you could tell he just had a fun time with this. Like, we're gonna make this funny. We're gonna make it silly, and this is a prime example of kaiju fun right here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I liked it. There's a cool little jump scene off of like a drawbridge,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah,
the dad was like backseat driving.
yeah, he's like, "Don't damage my car, Franklin." And then Mariah was like, "Do you want to live or do you want to have a nice car?"
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was super excited, super surprised by this story, and I was like, I'm like, we just need stuff like this, like
Yeah.
just a one-off, not trying to make a series or anything, just like, oh,
No.
we're gonna have some fun.
No, it really is just like it's just so fun. And then I really like the behind the scenes section here in the back where it's like, oh, they like did it like a Toku show, like they were like there was a set and everything. They were like the art in here is just fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, it's really good. So I'm like, okay, like I'm on board with this, and
It's
yeah, like it's just like, I want to draw some cool stuff.
yeah. And then it's just a Snarlagon driving a car in city traffic. Really fun times. And here's a little full body look at Snarlagon there. Really fun design. I mean, yeah, this could be a solo book. I mean, there could always be a sequel too. I mean, because they clearly knew about Snarlagon. Here's Joshi, a concept drawing of him in his Captain Astro suit.
Yeah, I really like seeing the concept art stuff for it. I thought it was really good.
No, absolutely. Like I said, we'll link it up down below. Hopefully, there's still some available. Right there, Laser Wolf.
Yeah, no, it's available.
LaserWolfAttack.com. And yeah, highly recommended. Really fun read. Really cool book to have in your Kaiju collection too.
No, yeah, definitely.
And it's bigger than your typical comic book. $10 doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
A
no.
graphic novella.
Yeah.
But yeah, Andrew McLean, check it out. And like I've said earlier, I am absolutely like hooked on War for Humanity. I cannot wait for issue 3 to come out. It's been almost 3 months. I don't know why there's a gap, such a large gap for that series, but I'm assuming maybe just because we had such a large influx of Godzilla comics the last couple months, they were like, let's slow this one down. Let's finish out Here There Be Dragons. We have the Rivals coming out. There's the Godzilla Kong Justice League series. Like, there's way too much going on, so they were like, maybe let's just push it back a little so there's not too much. I mean, that's the series to be reading, guys. I mean, War for Humanity, excellent.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited for that. It's like that. I like have such a backlog though. That's like one of the series where personally I'm like, I'm gonna get the trade paperback because I couldn't also decide on what cover I wanted, which I know is a terrible reason not to get the book.
Yeah, I committed to all the Jake Smith covers for that series. I haven't even seen the covers. He did just post the issue 4 cover art on Instagram yesterday, I believe. Looks awesome. So I don't know what issue 5 looks like yet, but I cannot wait. And I don't know how the story's going to wrap up for this series, War for Humanity, but I really hope it leaves it open and becomes an ongoing series, because like this is the one where I'm like, this could keep going and going and going, I think.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. That and I mean the last series, Here There Be Dragons, but like I feel like that could be like a yearly series,
or like a spin-off, like the whole spin-off concept that we think of it, where we're gonna get different time periods.
Yeah, or it's like something like this. I always get the vibe of almost like Gods and Protectors, where it's like this is like their mainline, mainstream, getting a wide audience book.
Like, this, to me, seems like it could be, like, the next Rulers of Earth.
Yeah.
Which is my all-time favorite series, but, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just have to see what they end up doing.
Yeah.
But to continue our reviews of Ultraman Blazar, we're doing 3 episodes on...
Yeah, normally we do 2, but...
one of them was a bit of a filler episode.
Yes.
At the end.
It wasn't necessarily filler, but it was like a recap-ish episode. But we got some tidbits. It had new footage in it as well.
Yeah.
But let's get into this one. We got episode 11 and 12. This is another two-parter featuring the Kaiju Gabalga, right?
Yeah, it's Gabalga.
Yes, Gabalga. Pretty crazy Kaiju. You see him right above Dan's hair there. It looks almost like a starfish robot
Yeah,
thing.
and like the little balls on it kind of to me look like eyeballs. They never referenced it, but to me I thought that those maybe its eyes.
Yeah. And it's a pretty crazy Kaiju. It hacks into things, it disperses EMPs. Pretty cool design. The episode starts off where there is a meteor heading to Earth, and it's suspected to be a Kaiju. So like, kind of Scar jumps into action. But the episode prior to hearing about this meteor, they're kind of picking up where we last left off. They're like, is Ultraman still an ally? Because Ultraman has been having his struggles fighting with himself. He stopped the missile barrage on the Kaiju from the last episode. And the Defense Force is kind of pissed that he did that. And they're like, we don't know if we could trust him. And Gento's like, we're going to have to kind of play it by ear here with him and see if he's an ally or not. So, sure enough, they send some early orbital missile strikes to try to shoot this meteor out of the sky, which they're pretty sure is Gabalga. And sure enough, Gabalga just blasts them with some shield or his EMP wave. They explode and it fails. So they send Scar out into the field to try to shoot Gabalga down with their railgun, and sure enough, they're there to line up the shot. And as the meteor Gabalga is coming down to Earth, they got the shot lined up perfectly. They're like, let's take this. And he just dodges it perfectly fine. Lands, and the battle begins.
Yeah. And, they start the fight, and it's Earth Garon. And finally, a little bit later in this episode, they kind of address Earth Garon. But he's not doing good, and then he realizes, like, hey, like, this is an EMP that's gonna go off. So
they start detecting that energy.
So they turn tail and they start running away, because obviously a mechanized giant robot isn't really the greatest thing to be fighting a EMP with. So they try to escape, and they just can't outrun the EMP. It eventually catches up and just puts Earth Garon underwater.
Yeah, they're like, Gento is in Earth Garon with, I believe, was it Henri or Emmy? I forget who.
I think it was Henri.
Yeah, they got to the point where they couldn't outrun it, so they tried hitting the jets on Earth Garon, and they started flying up into the sky to try to outrun this EMP, but it catches them in the sky. So they fall from way up in the Earth's atmosphere and crash into the lake. Henri is just knocked out. Gento is like, what do I do? We're underwater. So that's when he's like, all right, I'm going to go transform into Blazar. And he begins fighting Gabalga. And, Gabalga's absorbing his Blazar energy. Gabalga's like super OP with his shields and energy fields that Blazar's not really putting up that well of a fight. Blazar goes to try to throw another energy sphere at it after Gabalga absorbs the first one, and then he gets stuck holding his arm again like he did in the previous episode, and he's struggling with himself. And we see Gabalga go into back into the meteor form like a ball and begins rolling at Blazar. Blazar takes up off into the sky, flies away, and there's a massive explosion. And then Gabalga sets off an even larger EMP, and the episode ends there in complete chaos, and the whole operation is a complete failure. And the military turns to the commanding officer in charge of Scard above Gento and is like, what was that? What are you guys doing? They retreated with Earth Garon. Then Blazar showed up and just left us hanging. They're like, is he on our side or not?
Yeah, I mean, that was like, I understand it looks bad to retreat, but like,
it's common sense.
I'm
You get hit with an EMP.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking.
They're like, if he was going to send out an EMP to damage everyone, don't you think you should have tried to stop him? How are we going to stop him?
Yeah, so I was kind of like, what are they like? I'm more worried that Earth Garon never finishes the fight.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
this one I was like, this is the one you can kind of let slide.
Yeah. That's where this episode starts off, with them getting yelled at about Earth Garon. They're like, when's the last time you even completed an operation without Blazar's help? And now we don't even know if he's on our side. The fact is, the only operation that was completed without Blazar's help was Bazanga when Scarred wasn't even around, though.
Yeah.
Scarred wasn't scarred yet.
Yeah, so, that was, like, kind of like my one little gripe with the episode. But, again, it's, I didn't think it was too big of a deal.
Yeah.
Rolling into episode 12 kind of kicks off where they were before, basically getting yelled at as to, like, why did you guys run? You guys damaged Earth Garon again. Like, how are we going to get this thing back in? We have Gabalga just wreaking havoc on the countryside, constant EMPs, going through cities. So they come up with this idea of these Tilsonite spear,
Yes.
and it's basically made out of the Garamon armor, like the spikes.
Yeah, the metal and meteorite elements from Garamon when they previously fought him a couple episodes back.
Yeah, and I thought
I thought it was a cool throwback to Garamon, because that's been one of my favorite episodes of the series so far, just because of the Ultra Q references. One of my favorite kaiju robots, cyborg things, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So on top of that, because Blazar retreated last episode, Gento's all like, what's going on? And I got like really confused because I thought it was Gento that made him retreat.
Yeah. It wasn't
clear.
The whole conflict, I didn't know who was stopping who. Like, if it was Blazar stopping Gento stopping Blazar. But it was Blazar stopping Gento the whole time it's been.
Yeah.
And we learn later on in episode... Well, is it this episode? Yeah, we learn later on in the episode why he has been. But Gento leaves the Blazar coin in his locker and just leaves, and it's like, we're going solo on this one. And they're like, all right, we're going to try to use this spear, this Tilsonite spear that we've created. And the plan for this spear is that it's super strong metal. It's pretty much penetrates everything. As we saw in the Earth Garamon episode, Garamon fell on Earth Garon, and just one of his spikes just went through the cockpit and almost killed our scarred pilots here. So they're like, we're going to shoot this thing. We're going to get it right when it's about to open its eye, mouth, organ. They call it an organ, to put out this EMP. We're going to shoot this spear into it, and it's going to stop it from being able to create EMPs. So sure enough, they are facing Gabalga. It's almost a Evangelion type thing where Unit 1 was crouched down with the sniper rifle, and they were waiting for I can't think of I think it was the pyramid thing. I can't think of the name of it right now.
I've never watched Evangelion, so I have no idea.
It was such an Ava reference, that whole shot. And they were basically waiting for it to open up to take this shot, to take it out, so it could almost hit its core like an Eva.
Yeah.
So sure enough, Gabalga opens up to set off the EMP, and right as the EMP is about to go off, they fire the spear, and it penetrates and destroys Gabalga's EMP organ. And they're like, all right, time to fight. So Earth Garon's actually putting up a pretty good fight in this episode, and I really thought that Blazar was not going to appear in this episode.
I thought that they were going to resolve that. Like, the next episode was going to be the...
Yeah. And they were putting up a pretty good fight, but then Garon kind of falls down, and then Gabalga gets on top of him and it's kind of hidden away.
Yeah.
And Gento's is not piloting Earth Garon, and he was actually ordered by his crew prior to going out on this operation that he couldn't even drive the van. They're like, you're just here to command us. You're a commander. Command. You're not here to be in the action. You're supposed to be telling us what to do.
Yeah.
So they're kind of even questioning him, because even earlier in the episode we got to mention, the captain's like, why is your commander 10 kilometers away from the fight scene? He was piloting Earth Garon, and how did he end up 10 kilometers away? Why is he abandoning this operation?
Yeah.
So they even said he abandoned it, and we know that he was in with Blazar when he took off. So he's just on the ground shooting with a rifle at Gabalga, and he's like, "That's it." He's like, "I'm in trouble," and he goes to transform, and he doesn't have the coin. He remembers that he left it in the locker, and then Blazar kind of like takes over and gives him a whole memory thing, and we see how they finally met years ago on an operation where Gento was clearing a building. I mean, we've been seeing the flashback throughout the whole series, and it turns out that the last couple times Blazar had stopped Gento from killing a kaiju, it was just to protect him and protect his morality, I guess. I don't really know. From my understanding, Blazar was trying to protect him and not necessarily stop him.
Yeah, no, it was more like I'm gonna protect you from yourself type of thing.
Yeah.
And
Just sort of like Gento saved Blazar in a way in this whole operation years ago. And I still feel like we don't know enough about that operation. I feel like we need to see more from that day.
yeah.
I don't know if they're going to show it.
Yeah,
But,
that part's just like a little unclear, but I'm sure we
yes,
might get
it's
some
very
type of backup
unclear. Yeah.
about it. But basically, like, the coin goes flying out of the locker, goes back to Gento. He transforms, and then he's like, okay, we're ready to fight. We're all on the same page. Starts fighting Gabalga, grabs the spear, pulls it out, and then
As he grabs the spear, like a coin forms from it.
yeah. So then he gets a Garamon coin, so he puts it into his henshin device, activates it, and then he gets this awesome, like, sword.
And it makes the Garamon sounds like...
Yeah, and like he pulls like the thing, and like the EMPI thing like rotates and charges up the sword.
It's that like metallic clanking that Garamon makes when he walks around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, I love it.
Yeah. So of course, just like when he got the rainbow coin, instant kill on Gabalga. Didn't even put up a real fight.
Yeah, just split him right down the middle. Classic cut in half.
Yeah. And then we cut back to the general, and he just goes, second wave has been stopped. And then just like, ooh.
He's in on it.
Yeah. So then Gento goes back to the control room and sees, obviously, the locker room is basically like, the lockers are destroyed because the coin flew out of it, and then it went through a concrete wall. And I guess it's like kind of like the comedy of the...
And he starts laughing about it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, how the hell are they going to explain that away? A massive blow through the wall in his life.
I have no idea. But at least they brought some of the comedy back. It's so weird. Like, the show went from like a serious tone in the first episode to a couple of silly episodes.
Yes.
And then got very serious ever since the
Garamon episode.
Yeah, the Garamon episode, or even the one before that where it was like the rainbow monster.
Oh yeah,
that one was also very serious.
Yeah, that was pretty.
So
dark.
we haven't quite gone back to comedy. Now in episode 13, we do get some comedy, but I feel like it's only because it's a clip show.
Yeah, it's sort of it's basically like a clip show. It takes place mostly in the base. It opens up with Henri is basically been working on records of Scarred's previous missions, which is recapping everything that's happened. And Yasunnobu is there, and he's been researching stuff as well. And he basically he talks about himself. Henri talks about herself. We get a little history on the two of them. And then he brings up that he's been looking into the previous alien kaiju from Emmy's request. She asked him to look into some things, and he's like, I got some info from a friend, and basically Bazanga, Gabalga, and Lavira from way back in 1999 all took the same flight paths to Earth. So those three kaiju that we've seen so far, alien kaiju,
All from the same planet.
are suspected to all be from the same planet or sent from the same planet. So Garamon was the only alien, as we know, that was not sent from another planet, as well as the alien Kanan we saw earlier this season. Also, so because at the end of that second episode, when this episode 12, when the commander was like, the second wave has been set, I'm like, all right, he's in on something here.
Yeah.
So he's probably an alien, is my guess. And I was like, so what was the first wave? I'm like, because we've had a couple aliens this season, so I never realized that Bazanga was an alien. I thought it was just a sea monster.
Yeah.
Because it was like a crustacean thing that was crab-like, but it turns out he was an alien, and so was Lavira. So
yes.
Yeah, we're on a little alien invasion here. And basically, Emi shows up after Yasunobu gives that information, and they're like, yeah, we've been looking at this, and every time there's something brought up about these aliens, it gets wiped from the web. And Yasunobu's like, all right, I'm done here. They leave, and it basically turns to Henri and Emi for a couple of minutes, just having girl talk, talking about crushes and their backstories, and Emi being super smart, finishing school at like 17 in college. And we get a little silliness there, and then it cuts to Taraki and Gento in a hallway, and Taraki's almost just grilling Gento in this hallway.
He's like, what do you think about Ultraman?
What do you think about Blazar?
What do you think? Do you think this is weird? He just keeps asking him questions, and Gento's like, I gotta go.
Yeah. And then, we kind of just get a flashback of Gento, and he's like, listen, he's like, I was questioning Blazar at the beginning, but I've now realized that he's helped us in every situation. He saved all of our lives a couple times now, so he's here to help us. He's like, I trust him. I've come around to trust him. He's like, maybe in time you'll make your own decision on if you trust him or not.
Yeah.
And then he brings up, he's like, well, how did you know what a Blazar was? You're the one that named him that. Why did you do that? And Taraki, he knows what a Blazar is. He knows the definition of it.
Yeah.
And Gento has kind of this flash in his head, and boom, it shows him a dictionary, and I'm assuming, or an encyclopedia entry about a Blazar. And I guess that was Blazar's way of giving him an excuse. He's like, oh, I saw it in a book, and his light reminded me of the Blazar that I saw in the book.
Yeah.
And Taraki kind of made a face sure.
So what I got from this episode was, I think that they're trying to put up a couple red herrings. But we've seen the backstory on a lot of these characters, but I think one of them might also be a spy.
Or an alien, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like an alien spy.
Yeah.
I don't know who, though, because
maybe it could be why Taraki was pressing him.
It could be, but then he's got that tomato farm. And then unless he replaced the real Taraki.
Yeah. True.
Or possibly Henri. She's didn't really want to talk about her past too much.
No, that was Emi.
Well, no, Henri was oh, aren't you from that small village? And she's like, oh, yeah, but I was only there for a little bit, and then I moved away.
Oh. She had the whole country accent and everything. Is that?
Yeah,
I think you
she had the Midwestern accent.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't notice. I thought it would be more Emi, because I felt like she was kind of deflective too of herself.
She was, but then I don't know. I just feel like we got a lot of background on a lot of these characters.
And so Emi was the one to change the subject to having crushes and stuff too. She was like, "Oh, let's change the subject."
Yeah, but then she was also the one that was looking into the conspiracy theory.
True. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I definitely think they're trying to make us think that there's something going on with the team.
It could be.
Who knows?
That's a good point. That's an interesting theory. I like it.
But I mean, we have to see what happens. I mean, we're also like 7 episodes behind.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna catch up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna catch up. I think pretty soon, honestly.
Yeah, they're on episode 21 right now. Um, and for us personally, for shows, as far as shows go this year, this is probably our last show of the year.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little tight the next couple of weeks, so I don't know if we're going to get anything in. We were talking about doing a top year review thing of our top things we liked this year. So we might do an episode or a mini episode for that. But I don't think we're going to be reviewing any Ultraman Blazar for a little while.
But I think we'll also probably catch up on a decent amount of it as well.
And when we come back for our next set of Blazar reviews, I think we're going to probably have a few episodes again. I think we might do another 3. We'll see where we're at.
Yeah, I think we're going to see where we are on it. Really liking the series, and I'm hoping that, maybe we can catch up on reviews or something.
Yeah, this is my first modern Ultraman, so I'm really digging it. It's definitely different than the Showa Ultraman that I'm used to.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely is. And I was watching Decker last year, but then we had the whole break and everything. I didn't really get to keep up with the show.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I can't wait. I mean, I'm really digging it. I like the cast. Cool story. Kaiju's designs have been on point.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I saw the trailer for this week's episode. The Kaiju design looks crazy for this one, so I'm really excited to catch up.
Yeah, so I guess it's time to move on to the main event.
Yeah,
Godzilla Minus One. We got to see it in the IMAX. I mean, you see both of us have the posters in the background. We both got to go to the IMAX November 29th preview screening of it. And for one, the theater was pretty packed.
Yeah, it was. We go to the Regal Theater by us, and it's a pretty large IMAX theater. Really, the whole top section was filled. I mean, I don't know how many seats. I should have counted how many seats are in that theater. But the whole top section was filled. The lower section, like the first 2 rows, were pretty packed for the top tier of the lower section.
Yeah, nobody bought seats where you're like this.
Yeah, nobody wanted to break their necks. But it was pretty crowded. We got there pretty early, luckily, because the concession line was crazy long.
Oh my god, I thought we were going to be late.
Tons of people in Godzilla gear. Everyone was there that Wednesday to see Godzilla. I don't think anybody was there to see anything else at that theater, because it was rather empty besides everybody in Godzilla gear.
Yeah.
But, man, this was just a whole nother level movie that's... I saw somebody today say that, which I think is a little harsh, but it, in a way, could also kind of be true. I mean, Gareth Edwards said he was jealous of this movie when he saw it earlier last month. But somebody said that after seeing this movie, that they feel like the directors of all the previous Godzilla movies should feel embarrassed. Feel embarrassed.
I mean, personally, it is unnominated for a Oscar. I think this movie was, honestly, it's on the level of Oscar bait. Now, I don't think they put in for it for Best Picture or anything like that.
Yeah, but they should.
They should. I think it would definitely at least get a nomination.
It's a VFX finalist, which literally just got announced today, like
hours before recording.
Hours prior to this recording here. So this was, I believe, an $11 million budget movie. And one of the things that it's up against is the $200 million budget Ant-Man Quantumania.
Which you don't even have to watch the movie to know that it looks awful.
Yeah.
I can't see it when I honestly cannot see.
That cannot happen. Quantumania is absolutely not. But the category is very filled, though. There's a lot of movies in this category. Yeah. It's got the Spider-Verse, a bunch of other movies.
Yeah, I could see another movie winning, but not Quantumania.
No.
That's
no.
like, I didn't even know how they got the nomination.
I mean, the budget for this film was very small compared to a lot of movies, even compared to Godzilla Kong New Empire. Super small budget. This thing deserves every damn award. I mean, this is a masterpiece movie. Spielberg even said something about it earlier today, too. He said this is like peak cinema right here.
So, personally, I think that this is probably the best Godzilla movie. If you're just talking about story, character, and all that stuff, we're not talking about your Fast and the Furious Monsterverse movies or anything like that. We're just talking about pure, just Godzilla.
Yeah, just story, human story, everything about it is just, it's an emotional roller coaster, this movie. It comes for you. The great thing is, you know, today, the 8th, 7th, would have been the last day that this was in theaters. It's been killing it at the box office.
Yeah, I think it's the highest grossing.
It really started picking up on Monday, oddly. I don't know if, like, the weekend hype, like, just, like, built it up, because Monday jumped to #1, Tuesday it took #1. I'm assuming Wednesday it did. I didn't see the report on Wednesday. But, since then, they've come out to say that it's being extended to the 14th now, so next Friday, I believe, or next Thursday.
Yeah.
And it's going to be added to now 2,500 theaters, which is a lot more than the original release. And on top of that, if it keeps doing well, they're going to keep extending it.
Yeah.
Which I hope happens, because I really hope if anyone has been like on vacation or something and hasn't had the chance to go see it, that you got to go see it. We saw it in IMAX. I was kind of like curious about the 4DX experience. I'm like, I don't think I'd have the time to go. It's holiday season, but I'm like, this is like a movie that I could totally watch a lot of times in the theater.
Definitely
an amazing experience. And if you're watching this, we're trying to get this episode out pretty soon, so it's gonna be like a day or two after we record this. But if you're watching this and it's still in the theater, you gotta go if you haven't seen it. I mean, this is
that's the quick review. Is just
no question.
Why are you watching the review? Go watch the movie.
Yeah. Like, you don't have to be here if you haven't seen it yet.
All we're gonna do is talk really, really good stuff about this movie.
I mean, Takashi Yamazaki did an amazing job with the script and directing it. I mean, it was just a whole nother level movie. I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, and it's just like one of those movies where it's like I watched it and like we were basically speechless after we walked out of the theater.
Yeah,
we just kept saying like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I just saw that."
Yeah,
and it was like everyone just walked out. It was like dead quiet.
Yeah, it was silent. Everyone clapped when it was like when the movie ended and the credits started rolling. But like everyone was just like,
just went through something.
Yeah, I mean, it's an emotional roller coaster, that movie.
Yeah,
it is
definitely. I'd say it's the first Godzilla movie where I actually cared about the characters.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean,
it's just like you're so invested in them, and I saw people complaining. They're like, "Oh, this wasn't a very thoughtful movie. There's no political subtext to this. There's no," and I'm like, were you paying attention in the movie like at all?
Like, there's literally a whole speech at the end.
Yeah, it's literally like a whole anti-fascism, pro-life speech. Like, people aren't disposable. We care about it. We're gonna come up with a plan to defeat Godzilla without a single person dying. We're not Japanese Empire. We are people. We are the citizens of Japan, and we're gonna fight for our homes that we just rebuilt.
Yes. Yeah, so basically this movie takes place from 1945 to 1947. It follows a former pilot, Koichi Shikimasa, and Shikishima. Sorry guys. It's a long name. And I practice it too. I don't know how I butchered it. And then he also sort of takes in, because when he gets home, Japan's just basically in ruins. It's been bombed. He takes in Noriko Oshi and a little girl she has picked up, Akio,
Yeah.
and basically they become like his almost like adopted family. She's lost her entire family. Akiko lost her whole family. Um, it follows the three of them. I did not realize that Noriko, until literally right before this show recording, was the same actress from Shin Kamen Rider that played the
Daughter.
the daughter, the butterfly sister. I can't think of what the character was called in that movie. She's been in like two big Toku movies this year, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and it's just about them rebuilding their lives together and them having to do what they need to do to survive. And he takes a job as a minesweeper in the oceans to get rid of all the mines that both the Japanese and American governments put in the Pacific Ocean, which brings him into his crew where he gets a old Japanese weapons designer. You have this kid who never did serve in the war, and then a captain who basically becomes his secondary, like, surrogate family. Like, they're all in, like, the house. Like, they don't live with him, but, like, they're all hanging out in the hall. Yes.
They're like super close friends.
Very, very tight-knit community is basically what they're trying to show, is just like, we the people are coming together. We're going to fix this.
Yeah. Because, everybody lost family, everybody lost everything.
Yes.
After this war. I mean, literally, by the end of the movie, the city is, and homes are still in ruins. Like, when Godzilla shows up, like, he didn't really attack their
town
living area that we see, but their town is just ruins the whole time. When they go to work, when Noriko goes to work, as we've seen the famous scene in the trailer where she's looking out the train window and she goes, "Is that Godzilla?" She's commuting to the city to work. She doesn't get the job until like the
2/3 into the movie.
2/3 through the movie. Like, she's just like the mother to Kiko for the first 2 years, and then she's like, "Oh, I have to start pulling my weight around here. The neighbor's gonna watch her while I work and you go to work."
Yeah.
So, Godzilla attacks the city there, but we still have parts of Japan that are just still completely devastated. Like, Kochi has been working, getting money, so he rebuilds his parents' house, but it's still like a hut. I mean, it's barely a house. It's nice by that point in the movie, but it's still not great. I mean, his house is just literally just surrounded by rubble. And they're basically living in like a shanty town, almost like they're in the Great Depression.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's still trying to rebuild. The community is great, but they're slowly rebuilding. It's going to take a long time. And I actually just saw like a documentary yesterday about like the Fukushima today.
Yeah.
And they were like, it's been 12 years, almost 12 years. No, it's been almost 14 years actually. And they're like, we're trying to rebuild. The town looks nice. But like we still don't have a hospital or a pharmacy or anything. A lot of people don't want to move back. And then there's like towns just south of it that are just complete ghost towns, not rebuilt yet, still uninhabitable.
Yeah.
So like this is only 2 years after the war. So it's gonna take a while for them to rebuild everything. But
I mean, one of the things about this movie too is like literally, I mean, it's got a small core cast. It's what do I have here? Like, how many bullet points do I have for the cast? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. There's like 9 main cast members of this movie, and literally every single one of them, even the little girl, has some character development. Like, all of them have character development throughout the whole movie. We see all these characters grow, change, each of them gets through their own thing. I mean, even Koichi's neighbor, who becomes like the babysitter for Akiko, like when she's first introduced into this movie, she is just a disgruntled woman. She hates Koichi. We're not gonna try to. We're trying.
You're trying to keep this as spoiler free as possible.
The human aspect really is the part of the movie that would be spoilerish. We try not to get to that. The Godzilla stuff is obvious. I mean, Godzilla shows up and he destroys things.
Yeah,
don't want to belittle Godzilla here, but I mean, his scenes are absolutely epic. I mean, they wasted 0 seconds of his screen time. Every single second that monster is on the screen means something. It's absolutely brilliant what they did with that.
And what I liked is they didn't waste time explaining Godzilla.
Yes, it was almost like a Spider-Man.
It's like literally you get a scene.
We're not going to show this again.
We get a scene, which it's not even a spoiler because if you've seen the Godzilla movie, you know it. It just goes Bikini Atoll, 1950, whatever. And then it's just like, you just see the bomb go off and you see like Godzilla's eye and like his skin like starting to bubble up. And that's it. That's it. You don't have to explain anything else.
It's not even like, it's like super close up. Like it's almost like, it's literally like if I put my hand here.
Yeah.
Like you see nothing.
Yeah, it's literally like if you look at my glasses, like that's how much of Godzilla you see.
Yeah.
Is like that eye with a little bit of skin. And that's it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we don't have to explain to you what happened. Like, you've seen a Godzilla movie before.
Yeah.
You know what we're referencing.
And this Godzilla is like terrifying.
Oh, it's like, you know, like the Shin Godzilla design is just very creepy.
Yeah.
But this one is like, I'm going to like destroy you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, this is like Murderzilla. Like,
yes.
It's nuts.
Like it's out to get people. Yeah.
And should we talk about his abilities?
I mean, yeah, this is very light spoilers. We're gonna go over like some of his like he has like 2 abilities.
Yes. So we're gonna go with the Wolverine one.
Yes.
So he's basically Wolverine in this movie, Godzilla, in a way, where he's vulnerable. Like, you know, Shin Godzilla was basically like a walking wall, and like they just were gonna shoot things, explode.
Almost any Godzilla is like that.
Yeah. This one, they hurt him.
Yeah, modern weapons harm him.
But he's got insanely super fast regenerative abilities. There's a point, the famous boat scene, where they get him and you're like, oh, did they kill him? Like, because he looks like he is dead. And then all of a sudden, you see this massive gaping hole that they shot in him, blew in him, just heals, bubbles up.
It's like Cell from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
It's like that quick.
Yeah. And he even looks dead for like a good couple of seconds too.
Yeah, like a second or two, because they want to build that suspense.
They want to be like, oh shit, we just ended the movie like right there in the middle of the movie, and like, can you imagine like they just killed him there? So, that was it.
So while he's like the most vulnerable Godzilla we've probably ever seen, barring '98, it's the most it's the most resilient one though. Like, your modern weapons might affect me, but it's never going to be enough to actually damage me permanently.
Yeah. And
he like scars up, which is really cool too.
Yes.
Again, these aren't plot spoilers. Like, you have to see the movie. Like, this is literally nothing. Yeah. And then I would say he probably has the strongest atomic breath I've ever seen in a Godzilla movie.
Yeah, it's next level. And I mean, you've seen the trailer with the spikes.
Yes, it's in the trailer.
Popping out. It is like the most awesome.
It added so much impact to it.
Yes, it does. It just makes it so dramatic. And yeah, it's just so damn good, this movie. I mean,
yeah, like that's probably
I could not. I still practically. It's been over a week now, and like I can't stop thinking about.
Yeah, I haven't stopped thinking about it, and I haven't stopped thinking about when I'm watching it again.
I really want this thing like out now. Yeah. I want it on a home release immediately.
I think that this will. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if. This is just speculation. This is like one of the most like high class Godzilla movies ever released. I'm expecting this to get a Criterion Collection release, and I'm not talking about like this goofy book that we got. I'm talking about a real Criterion Collection level release where there's special features made, there's documentaries made. It's like going to be like a huge deal when this comes
They gotta
out.
roll out the red carpet for this thing, man. I mean,
Like, yeah, that's the way I feel about it.
I will buy whatever the fanciest thing is for this. I want books, I want slip covers, I want steel cases. I mean, this, it's just so damn good. Like, I saw somebody describe it as like, you take like a serious war movie like Dunkirk, combine it with Jurassic Park, Jaws, and of course Godzilla, and just throw in some serious drama, and that's minus one. Like, it has like some of everything in it, really. I mean,
Yeah, like
it is. I've never seen such a perfect movie, honestly.
yeah, I've had no issues being like, you guys got to see this. Like at work, I'd be like, no, you have to go see this movie. Like it's amazing.
Somebody was talking to me about it on Monday, and he's like, "Oh, did you go see that Godzilla movie?" Because they know I'm into Godzilla at work, and I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And like, "Oh, how was it?" I'm like, "It was amazing." I'm like, "It was one of the best movies I think I've ever seen in my life."
Yeah, no, that's the way it felt.
The guy started looking at it. He's like, "It's only an $11 million budget movie." He's like, "This thing's." He's like, "Why does it get such a short run?" I'm like, "I really don't know." I'm like, "I'm pretty sure it's going to get extended," and sure enough, it did.
Yeah, and it's I believe it's got the record for the highest grossing live action Japanese movie.
Yeah,
in America.
Yeah.
So I think the only thing that beats it is like Studio Ghibli stuff.
I feel like it's going to be like in history. This thing is going to be like. This is a historic movie, honestly. I mean,
it made twice its budget in America.
Yeah.
On its opening weekend.
Yeah.
So Toho has to be incredibly happy with this.
Yeah. I've seen people reviews that said they weren't Godzilla or Kaiju movie fans, and they saw this thing and they're like, "This is one of the best movies I've ever seen," and they're like,
"Yeah."
And I'm not into this, and this is like,
incredible. I've seen a couple people that are like. I work my way through like the IMDb like top 100 movie list, and like they're like, this is better than like anything I've seen, and like top 10 movie for me.
Yeah, it's impressive.
It really is.
And the design and the brutality of this Godzilla is just unbelievable. I don't know. Like we said earlier, people were saying, oh, the previous directors should be ashamed. This is going to be an extremely hard movie for any director or writer to ever follow up.
Yeah.
Ever.
And
I don't think you could even come close to... I don't even know. I don't think it's going to be possible to reproduce what this movie did, like, ever.
Yeah. One of the things I'm happy with is at the end of the movie there's like a scary shot, and I'm very happy that the director was like, that was just a one-off, just discreet, just to like be like mysterious and scary. Like there is no plans for a sequel to this movie. Like this should be just a one-off, and I left saying that this should be a one-off, and people that know me, I'm a huge advocate for a English dub at all times, just because it gives you the wider audience.
Yeah.
This should not get an English dub. Like, if you can't read or hear descriptive audio, you do not need to see this movie, because
one of his...
it's just I can't see a voice actor emulating the emotion that you need for this movie.
No. Yeah, I mean, I feel like... I don't know. I don't think the type of movie it is, I don't think we'll ever get a dub for it. Maybe we will.
I don't know if it's needed.
I think it would be a massive disservice if they did. Yeah.
Unless you're going to get like the Hollywood treatment and get like real actors like doing their best.
Yeah.
I can't see you emulating the emotion and like the feel of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, you need like a quality voice actor, and the lip matching is going to be a big challenge too.
Yeah,
I have seen some AI stuff out there where they could
change the lip flaps.
Mouths. Yeah, but I don't know. I think it would be really not nice to do.
No, I think this thing just needs to stay as it is.
Yeah,
I want a 4K. Like I don't care.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think because usually we're very pro dub here,
Yeah.
but for this movie, this is like
It's on a different level.
it's not meant for a younger audience, really. I mean, sure, they could go see it for the Godzilla action, but like, I don't think the younger audience would really comprehend what this is about.
Yeah.
Is
No.
why I don't think a dub is needed, and not to like sound like I'm talking down about younger audiences, but I feel like they might sort of find it boring
Yeah.
because they wouldn't grasp the story. They're looking for action, which is the MonsterVerse. So, yeah,
No, I think this is definitely like aimed towards an older audience. This movie.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I have seen people bringing their kids to it, saying that the kids loved it, but yeah, uh, it's it's just such a heavy movie. It really is.
Yeah. Well, we're waiting for a physical release. That's probably when we're going to do a full-on spoiler review. I think we only talked a little bit about Godzilla, if you want to count that as spoilers for the movie. But yeah, super excited and just I want to see it again. Like that's
Yeah,
we're probably going to cover it again on the show, like when it comes
Yeah.
out physically.
yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do, and we'll go all out on spoilers on there. But I really wish I had the time to go see it in theaters again. Like
Yeah.
that's how bad I want to go back to see it. I'm like, I hope this run lasts forever.
Yeah.
One of my hopes, I mean, I'm sure it's a very hard feat to get the permissions to do this, is if this is what gets shown at Kaiju Brooklyn too. That would be amazing.
It would be. I don't know if they'd be able to swing that though.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, you
never know.
never do. It would be awesome, but yeah, I'd love to see another big screening of it, especially when it's like a bunch of fans in the audience.
Yeah, yeah. But this was a damn classic. I was just like, I couldn't stop talking about it. I'm like, this is like one of the best movies ever. It's just,
Yeah.
it literally is a historic movie.
It's going to be a movie where I'm like, I gotta watch it at least once a year, type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's like one of those. Yeah, it's like my new Jaws. Honestly, I feel like
Yeah,
because Jaws is like one of those ones where it's like, oh, if it's on, I'm just gonna sit down and watch it.
yeah,
But yeah, absolutely check out Godzilla Minus One if you have not seen it and you're watching this and you still have the chance to go see it in theaters.
yes.
Run to that theater and see
No,
it.
definitely, it's needed to be seen. And yeah, I don't even know what else I could say about it. It's just you have to go see it.
Yeah, like we said earlier, we were in complete silence when we left
Yes.
that theater.
Yeah, I mean, we left the theater and they're like, well, what are we gonna do for the review? And I was like, well, let's just go spoiler free and talk about the movie in general, because like I was like, I don't even feel ready to start covering the topics in the movie yet.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that about wraps it up for this review, though. And
Yeah, we will see you guys in the new year. We may or
Enjoy
may
the
not do a
holidays.
2023 recap. Yep, enjoy the holidays.
yeah, you might see that recap after 2023, but we're gonna try to squeeze that one in.
Yeah,
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Schedules are tight with the holidays. Enjoy, everyone.
All right, see you. Bye.